Alphonso Davies at left back. What was the rationale there? And then when you fell down, he kind of stayed at that spot and he never pushed forward to the spot that made him so effective in Toronto.
Yeah, great question. And again, as a coach, you come into these matches, you've got to make decisions. The one thing that we anticipated coming into this game was that US press, and we knew we needed to be a bit more direct to play over it. And Cavallino gives us a good option in that target man role to have people like Johnny David running off and Arfield and Osorio underneath. So, that was the purpose of that. And Alphonso, he's been playing fantastic at Bayern Munich at left back. He's been touted as hitting those world-class standards in recent games. We knew the US were bringing Sergio Dest in, and we're going to load our left back up, which was 19-year-old Kamal Miller, who has been off for 3-4 weeks since the last game. So for us, it was about making sure that we could find Fonzie in those wide areas, and we didn't in the first half enough, with those diagonal passes and playing central to play wide. But second half, we seen a bit more of Alphonso, and we wanted to take Fonzie up front. I mean, that was part of the plan, but the injury to Daniil that hurt us. It meant that we had some other rolls of the dice we needed to make, and yeah, it was a tough situation.
Who would like to go next?
Doug McIntyre, Yahoo Sports. John, how different was the U.S. team that you played tonight compared to a month ago?
Well, I'll say this. They were clinical and good on set pieces. Very good. So that was 12 shots to 11. 5 shots on target for the US, 3 for Canada. 36% possession for US, 64 for Canada. 520 passes for Canada, 420 for the US. So in my mind, when I look at the performance, the difference is they were bloody clinical tonight. And that was the focus. You could see that intent. I think they really contested in the midfield. I think they put a hell of a battle up there. And in defensive transition, their attack in transition, they were lethal. They really hurt us when we had our fullbacks high. So, good job to the US tonight. That sort of clinical is the learning for us. We've got to learn that if you make mistakes at this level or your set pieces aren't clean, you're going to get punished. So all credit to Greg and his boys. They've sort of silenced some critics here, and I wish them all the best.
Here,
Will Brown, St. Augustine Record. Early in the match, you all seemed to be attacking long down your left-hand side. Was that your intention to try and go at Dest and describe just that tactic? And it seemed like it was something you all went to a few times early.
Yeah, I think probably too much. I mean, that was a bit of a challenge. I think part of our growth and learning when we reflect on this, we were a little bit too direct. I wanted to see the centre-backs get on it more and just break the rhythm. But that was part of the tactic. It was about, we knew we could load up Dest with Cavallini and then have Alphonso picking it up underneath with Osorio and have a height mismatch with Alphonso and Dest as well on the diagonals. So we thought there was an opportunity there, but Dest played really well tonight. And to be fair, I thought Long had a terrific game. I thought he was an absolute colossus for the US tonight. So congrats to them, and we'll go back to the drawing board and have to think it through.
Gavin Day, MLS Soccer. John, you mentioned Kamal Miller as the backup, as someone who hasn't seen much action. You have Sam Adekubi, who's playing regularly as a left back in Norway. What's he missing that he might get included in the picture left back then?
Well, I think Sam's played only 2 games in 6 if you're tracking his career. He hasn't been regular in Vålerenga. And Vålerenga Sam's working as hard as he can. And I think for us, it's, when you've got Bayern Munich's starting left back, who's playing Champions League, who can give you that width and provide that inner tactic as well as athletically deal with the players the US have, which is pace for fun on that side. You're coming away to an away venue where a draw could see you through. He's the best left back in Canada, without a doubt. And arguably he's the best left back in Bayern Munich. So for us, I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, we'd love to have him up front. We'd love to be able to play him in two positions. But when you've got quality like Jonathan David, Junior Hoylett, Lucas Cavallini, you're looking at putting all those pieces on the field and putting your best players out there. That's what we did tonight. We came in here to get a result. We didn't bunker down. We came in here on the front foot. We pressed them for 90 minutes. We controlled the game for periods at times, and I think a lot of positives. We just weren't clinical. They were very clinical.
KJ, and then we'll go to the front.
Christian Jack, TSN. Hey, John, I know you'll go back and look at the goals and the two set-piece goals, but I want to ask you about the second goal. Where did it break down for you, and did it start with Milan's distribution that obviously led to the quick transition?
I'll go back and assess it. I think the reality was, again, I think we were a little bit too direct tonight at times, a bit too open in that shape. But I got to credit them. I've got to credit the boys. They'll learn from this loss. This is what we're on the process of. For Canada, we missed the big opportunity. I've got to own up to that. We missed the big chance tonight. We know we've got the quality because in periods we show we're competing with, the best, one of the best teams in CONCACAF. So, analysing the goals, in fairness, we had to be better in set pieces. And we had to be better in defensive transition. We just got to sense those moments earlier that this is dangerous now. And these learnings, like we did from the Gold Cup, we'll take them forward.
Ivan Sklarcep, SBI Soccer. Coach Jordan Morris is a player who's been just in outstanding form. Coming into the week, everyone wondered who would replace Christian Pulisic's impact in the attack. No one player can do that, but he seems to be one who came in here and had just a great start to the match. What did you think of him? Did you kind of worry about him coming into this match, and why did he give you guys so much trouble?
Well, I think, again, it was the transitional play. We knew Morris has got that sort of pace, always wants to spin him behind the fullback. And it was mainly the transition. But you can see that the guy's in form. He was clinical. He's got the bit between his teeth. If there was a ball going into the box, I thought him and Zardes were clear they were going to be first to it. And I think that was the focus the US brought tonight. I think in the middle of it, if you look at box to box, I thought there wasn't much between the two teams, but where it mattered most was what was happening in the penalty areas. And I thought they were better in both boxes tonight.
We're going to go back to Derek.
John, I know you guys came in here well prepared and motivated and talking to the guys the last couple of days. They were fired up. Then you give up a goal 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
What does that do to just the spirit and the fight? And then how tough is it to keep the will of keeping that fight going? You still got 88 minutes to go. Well,
I think they kept going. I thought it was there. I think the only place we wobbled was in the direct play. I would love, again, to have seen them, just working deeper into the centre-backs and not being as direct. But when you're in those moments, the intensity of the game and that narrow focus sets in. And I think it did for periods. But, I think at times we acquitted ourselves in ways where you say, bloody hell, this Canadian team looks very different and it can compete, more than compete. It's just, man, we give up a shitty goal on a set piece in the first minute. I mean, that's the stuff drives you mad. But then I've got to look at that and say, in 4 days and 2 training sessions, should we have worked more on the set pieces, those wide free kicks? Yeah, maybe we should have. Maybe that's what I've got to take responsibility for. But I don't think the first goal affected us. I just think the players were on task. I think it was the third goal. You know, that third goal is always a bit of a killer because it's just that little bit too far out of sight. But credit the boys, they came out second half, and you know, I think we, you know, in terms of how we played, we won that second half.
Going to go back to Gavin.
John, I guess now it's now what? Are you scoreboard watching? How are you seeing how things move forward now?
Yeah, just gutted, but you got to be optimistic. You know, we got to be optimistic. I think speaking to the players on the field, we've said this along. We lose, we learn, we move forward. They still believe in themselves that this group are good enough to make that hex. You know, we've left it to the gods, the football gods, to some degree, but we're going to keep pushing at it, and I think our luck's going to come our way. It'll come for Canada. We're going to have to make our luck maybe in the March FIFA window, and then in the June window. I mean, that's reality, to pick up the FIFA ranking points. That's all we've had focus on. So we've probably dropped 10 points tonight. Gutted about that. But, you know, I think even if we'd drawn the game, we'd have been kicking ourselves saying we needed 17, we needed the 7. And that was the mindset coming into it. We really wanted to just push on with the performance and get the win.
KJ.
John, moving forward just on that point now, what's the mandate from the program to find those friendlies, and what kind of a opposition would you be looking for? Obviously, knowing that there's a fine line there in terms of what kind of opposition you've got to get those crucial points when you're trying to look for friendlies.
Yeah, well, look, when the system changed, we went through a deep analysis on a lot of different scenarios. So we knew that March window was going to be important. But you play against France, you beat France, and France, you get 8 points. I mean, that's the reality with these windows. You have to be very strategic. And then the big question is, you know, who wants to play Canada in that window? And, you know, we've been working hard behind the scenes to make sure that we've got these teams lined up that can give us in a range of points that are realistic for us based on where we're at in our journey. So, you know, by all means, we come out of this at the end of next week. We see where these points are, and as an organisation, we'll be going towards doing whatever we can to go to the hex.
We're good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, team.